Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for the recording presentation. Our next speaker will be Dr. El-Gizawy. She will talk about the net zero C&D waste. Dr. Sally, she is an adjunct professor at the American University in Cairo, School of Science and Engineering, and a part-time professor at Badr University in Cairo. She receives the PhD and the master's degree from the American University in Cairo. Please welcome with me Dr. Sally on the stage. Just a minute.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Salah Al-Haggar, my professor and mentor, for giving me this opportunity to be here today at the International Zero Conference. I'll be talking about construction and demolition waste, which is a major part of the solid waste stream in any country. We'll talk about what is construction and demolition waste, the impacts, the waste composition and utilization, and a conclusion. When we talk about green buildings, attention focuses on energy efficiency and water conservation. However, waste management should not be overlooked. Construction and demolition waste is the solid waste generated from building construction, renovation work, and demolition work. Here's the picture of the construction and demolition waste we can see everywhere, in Egypt specifically. C&D waste is continuously on the rise since population increase and the housing needs increase. And also during the 1990s, with the booming in the construction industry, the amount of construction and demolition waste has reached uncontrollable levels. According to the World Bank, cities produce 1.3 billion tons of C&D waste per year, and this amount is expected to increase to 2.2 billion tons by 2025. C&D waste constitutes a third of the world's overall waste and 40% of the world's carbon dioxide emission. It is the largest waste stream in the EU by weight and is more than half of the total garbage generated in the European Union. Egypt is not different. We have lots of construction and demolition waste in Egypt. CapMass, according to statistics from CapMass, the estimated amount of construction and demolition waste is 10,000 tons per day, which is equivalent to 1/3 of the total solid waste generated. This is a picture showing the construction and demolition waste dumped in one of the streets of Mansoura. The statistics in Egypt about construction and demolition waste, however, are not very accurate, but the impacts are remarkable. The C&D waste accumulation has significant impacts on some like environmental impact, socio-economic impact, and sustainability impacts. Some of the environmental impacts are the dust, noise, and vibration contamination of soil, always found on construction sites, the biodegradation of wastes in dump sites, and the cross-contamination and the general mixing of materials. Some of the socio-economic impacts are the loss of value which would have otherwise been utilized. Recycling offers a boost in the economy by providing more job opportunities, and also the accumulation of waste causes negative effects on health, ecology, and aesthetic sensibilities. Construction industry is one of the largest and main consumer of natural resources and one of the largest polluters. It was estimated that in Europe, over 40% of energy and approximately 40% of the solid waste are building related. Dumping C&D waste has negative impact on society, the environment, and the economy, which are the triple bottom line of sustainability. There has to be alternative management options for C&D waste to solve the problems of limited space, the increasing cost of effective environmental protection, the depletion of natural resources, and the consumption of large amount of energy. Now, it's important that C&D waste is not simply dumped, but reused and used as a new source. Reusing some of the building materials and recycling waste and using it in other processes is the essence of sustainable construction practices. Many of the components of C&D waste have been subject to lots of research about recycling and reuse. However, the composition of construction and demolition waste is not the same for all projects. It depends on the country, the type of project, and many factors of location and design. Here's, for example, we have the average composition of construction and demolition waste in the US, and a pattern of construction and demolition waste generated also in Greater Cairo. Concrete, we will talk about some of the elements that we see are common in most of the construction projects. Concrete is the most common waste material. It's involved in almost all construction work, and that's why the concrete production is always on the rise. It comes second in construction materials consumed after water, and according to the EPA, concrete waste accounts for about 67.5% of all construction and demolition waste by weight. New concrete production itself is unsustainable since it uses a lot of natural resources and uses a lot of greenhouse gas. Recycling of concrete is an easy process where concrete should be first crushed, metal should be removed, and then it should be screened to separate different sizes. Concrete is commonly recycled as supplement to natural aggregates, such as crushed stone. It can also be used for road, sub-base, and lightweight construction. As we can see, the concrete coming out from the demolition sites, which is named as concrete rubble, is used to have the road sub-base, or sometimes in high-quality aggregate manufacturing plant, and in some other time during cement manufacturing as well. Lots of countries have recycling plans for C&D waste concrete and are actually attaining very high recovery rates, like Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, and Japan. Wood is another material that is common in almost all construction. It is widely used in structural framing for doors and windows. Dumping of C&D wood waste, however, is dangerous since it releases methane gas to the atmosphere and causes hazardous effects. Wood waste is first shredded to reduce its volume, cleaned, metals and screws are removed, and the waste is then sized to smaller particles. It can be used as soil amendment, compost, or as an ingredient to manufacture pulp and paper products. Some can be used as furniture applications, and some as alternative fuel because of its low moisture content. Masonry is used to form the walls and other solid elements of buildings and structures, such as bridges and tunnels. The main use of crushed brick is in low-grade roads and in pavement sub-bases, and can easily substitute for virgin rocks. Mixed waste from demolition that's found everywhere in all the demolition sites. It's just the demolition waste together that cannot be separated, like a mix of mortar, concrete, and gypsum, are most likely to be found at demolition sites. The size of the particles of this mixed waste depends on the type of demolition. Concrete represents 75% of the total volume of this demolition waste. It can also be used to generate recycled aggregates by very simple procedure of crushing the debris to a small size. The contaminating elements of the waste are eliminated, and the aggregate is sieved and stored according to the correct size. Tiles and ceramics are a mixture from minerals, typically silica sand and the clay binder. They can be used in non-structural concrete or as substitute for conventional coarse aggregates. Here in the picture we can see it's together with the natural coarse aggregate can be used for non-structural concrete. Metals in construction, mostly steel, are used as structural element and in also non-structural elements. Non-ferrous metal waste found on construction site often result from electrical cables and conduit trimmings. The ferrous metal waste is usually minimal because the material is expensive, therefore the quantity needed is correctly calculated, and only the waste exists as a result of inaccurate drawings or steel cut-off, and can be easily sold for money after that. Recycling of ferrous metals can be completely recycled with very little waste and can be repeatedly recyclable. And for non-ferrous metals, it can be separated before reuse. Scrap is cleaned, melted, impurities extracted, and the residue recast and other useful products. What we talked about now are only examples of recycling or reusing some of the most common construction and demolition waste, and they all have proved to be successful. So C&D waste, being one of the major solid waste stream in any country, should be a great potential and not a threat. It should not be dumped, but rather should be considered as a resource. Reaching net zero C&D waste helps to achieve the optimum use of natural resources, reduce the negative effect of waste accumulation, and reduce energy consumption. C&D waste has to move in a circular system following the cradle-to-cradle approach in order to achieve net zero waste. Thank you.